Future Trunks is one of the most dynamic characters in the whole series, but until the Fuse Zamasu fight, he hadn't really had a huge increase in power. Back in the Cell Saga, we witnessed him go from just a Super Saiyan to this B-grade ascension that was much too muscular to keep up with Cell, and in the end turned out to be a complete failure. At some point between then and the fight with Rose and Zamasu, Trunks achieved Super Saiyan 2, and in this story that seems to be the case as well. In another universe, future Gohan has survived the encounter with the androids, and he and Trunks went on to defeat them together. With the android saga behind them, Majin Buu is still resting, but Babidi would soon make an appearance in this universe as well. Along with Babidi, however, comes another person that we since learned was about on the level of Perfect Cell, Deborah. This is Dragon Ball Gohan X Trunks, and when we last left off, after defeating the androids, Gohan leaves Earth to seek out training by King Kai. When he returns, it's now Trunks' turn to go train with King Kai, so he heads out next for another several months or so. If you guys want to check out this story for yourselves, the link will be down below in the description box, and also be sure to follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with all Dragon Ball related content. But without further ado,
I got swords on my back, turn my right back. Ninjas with me, niggas throwing stars at these bitches. Eating ramen noodles in the hood with my niggas.
the first thing we see is the Supreme Kai and Kibito, and they seem to be overlooking the Earth. All of a sudden, the Supreme Kai feels a very familiar energy as he says that he never imagined Bibidi's son would be this capable. Years after the defeat of Cell and the androids, it seems that the resurrection of Majin Buu has begun, and Supreme Kai's #1 mission is to stop it at all costs. When we cut to Gohan and Trunks, they're in the middle of training as Gohan says he's really impressed with the results of his training from King Kai. When they decide to call it quits for today, Gohan senses a sharp energy that has just appeared, and above them on a cliff, the Supreme Kai along with Kibito stand overhead, which pretty much stops Gohan in his tracks. Gohan asks what brings them to Earth, which the Supreme Kai replies that they'll explain in due time, but this is when the Supreme Kai requests that he use their power for just a moment. We can kind of see where this is going as he says that he'll explain everything in detail, but at the moment, two people are coming this way, and this is when he asks Gohan to believe in him and don't move at all no matter what happens. Pretty similar to how this played out in the main timeline. This is when Spopovich and Yamu appear in the distance and they charge directly towards Gohan and Trunks. When the reading comes in, the two Majins are in shock at how much power they're picking up from Gohan, so it seems that they've decided on their target. Like I said earlier, this pretty much goes about how it did in the main timeline, with Spopovich and Yamu attacking Gohan and the Supreme Kai restraining him with his magic, allowing them to absorb his energy. When they leave, Kibito goes on to heal Gohan back to full power as we see him wake back up like nothing happened. Once they're ready, the Supreme Kai says that they need to follow the two attackers to discover their hideout, and obviously Gohan and Trunks have many questions as to what just happened, so this is when he goes on to explain the origin of Majin Buu and how he terrorized the galaxies millions of years ago. The story has it, as we all know, that Majin Buu was a tremendous threat all those years ago alongside his creator Bibidi, but eventually Majin Buu became too wild for his master to control, and as a result, Bibidi had no other option than to seal Majin Buu temporarily, but when the chance presented itself, the Supreme Kai killed him. But now that Bibidi's son, the evil wizard Babidi, has come to Earth, he's looking to free Buu by means of his magic as well. At some point during their chase, Spopovich and Yamu begin to descend, so this must be the hideout. Once the ship opens, out steps Babidi along with his right hand Deborah. This comes as a complete shock to the Supreme Kai as he explains that this guy is the #1 warrior in the whole demon realm. Gohan wants to fight as there's really no sense in just watching and letting them carry out their plan, but the Supreme Kai insists that if they just walk right into the ship, they'll be playing right into the enemy's hands. Being extremely confident in their abilities and really resembling his father right now, Gohan says that it should be fine even if they're playing into Babidi's trap because, I mean, simply put, they're just stronger. And then they fly directly towards Babidi and his crew, landing directly in front of them head on. Trunks asks Gohan to let him fight first as he wants to demonstrate his full strength after all of his training. Gohan obliges but urges Trunks to not let his guard down as they don't know their opponent's abilities yet. As Trunks steps up, he warns Deborah to not underestimate the power of the Saiyans, and the fight commences. Eager to show the results of his training, Trunks wastes no time powering up right away as the ground trembles beneath him, and when he's finished, he's ascended directly to Super Saiyan 2. Trunks charges Dabura and the two begin combat right away, as we can see that Trunks is the clear aggressor and he looks like he's pushing Dabura into a corner. Kibito and the Supreme Kai seem pretty shocked that Trunks is fighting at such a level that seems to be equal to Dabura, but Goku assures them that Trunks isn't even serious yet. Trunks asks sarcastically if this is his opponent's full power and that now is probably going to be his only chance to even think about going full power, so he should take it. Dabura mocks Trunks, saying that he figured his current power would be enough to take him out, and then he goes on to raise his energy until he is at full power. Trunks and Dabura stand across from each other ready for their final battle, but before the engagement can start, however, Babidi, who was busy feeding Gohan's energy to Majin Buu, is able to resurrect him at full power. As the chamber holding Majin Buu's ceiling begins to smoke, the Supreme Kai pleads with Gohan that they've already lost and they need to leave the fight this second, but it seems like he's the only one that thinks there's any real immense danger here. And then it opens. Immediately Gohan begins to tremble, which comes as a shock to the Supreme Kai because the ball enclosing Majin Buu looks pretty empty, but this is when Gohan says that a massive key is forming nearby and it's still growing. Gohan looks up and immediately they take note of the suspicious smoke up above as Gohan says that it came from out of the sphere, and to the shock of everyone, from out of the smoke appears Majin Buu.